Hello, and welcome to this latest edition of Take 5. I'm Eric KRAUSE, the Dean of the Graduate School. One of my heroes is Stephen Colbert, and when Stephen Colbert has an awesome guest on his show, he always says it's a good get. Well, I'm pleased to present to you my good get for today, Dr. Marie CINI, the Provost of UMUC. Welcome, Marie.
Thank you, Dean KRAUSE. That's very nice of you to say.
You're a good get.
I'm a good get.
For my little tiny show.
I've been called many things, but that's probably one of my favorite.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thanks for joining me today.
It's great. It's my pleasure.
I was delighted to see on your blog, which is on Engage,
Right.
called Compass Point,
Yeah.
you posted a new article the other day about the future academic model here at UMUC, or some of the aspects of
Right.
what education is moving toward here at UMUC.
Yeah.
Can you talk just briefly about what you see that vision?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, I want to make it really clear that the vision is not just my vision, but it's really a combined vision of my academic affairs team.
Right.
Because we are really trying to look at what's going on around the country and the nation and bring in the best of learning science and learning research. And so what I tried to lay out in that particular blog was this idea of greater quality and greater learning for students. So I think part of the problem is we're calling it competency-based, which brings in a lot of baggage, and people assume it's something that it's not. But it's really about helping our students to learn, to master the material, and then to apply it, which is what our students are here for, and to make it a more exciting venture for our students and our faculty.
Excellent. So you get the opportunity to go to all these professional organizations around the country and hear what they're doing and the innovation agendas that are happening with all the different organizations, all the different universities. Could you talk for just a second about what we would consider probably to be the national traditional model, the UMUC version, and what you're seeing other schools doing in terms of their innovation agendas?
Sure. So there's three parts to that. I'll do one at a time. So first of all, I think it's actually not true that there is a particular kind of traditional model, but let's just say the prototypical one.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I'm drawing this from. So my great nephew, he's a freshman in college, I had the wonderful opportunity to go to his orientation with him at his new college and to go visit him. And it's a very traditional model. So he's got, he lives in a nice residence hall. He's in the honors school, so it's a great hall. And he has a traditional schedule where he has to go to a classroom at 8 o'clock in the morning. And,
Right.
Even though he's in honors classes, there's a lot of students in that class. And he has traditional exams where he has to study things and then memorize and then sort of, spit back ionic equations. And he has textbooks. Now, they are renting their textbooks. He only has to pay a small fee. They rent them and then they hand them back, which I thought was good. But it's all very traditional. He's got a traditional, he goes to a dining hall, et cetera. They have 15-week classes. So, but very few students in our country actually are able to have that kind of an experience
Right,
now, that traditional 4-year, I live, in a residence hall and go to classes. So there is an innovation. Well, let me then also say UMUC has never been that model.
Right, exactly.
Right, we've never had residence halls. We started, and I want people to always remember this, our DNA is to go to the student or to be accessible and open when the student needs us. So we started in 1947 running evening classes using College Park classrooms, but for our returning military veterans. And we did that because College Park as an entity with its traditional classrooms and faculty were not interested in running evening classes. So from the very beginning, we've gone to our students. We took the overseas contracts and went downrange to teach our students. Anytime there was technology that would reach out to our students, we would use it. So that's why we're so big in online education. If you don't live near us and you come and visit us, we have buildings, administrative buildings, et cetera, but we don't have a lot of classrooms because most of our students are not sitting in a traditional classroom.
Right.
We should be proud of this. We have done a wonderful job for our hundreds of thousands of students who have graduated from here. But going forward, what's really interesting is that there is this innovation agenda, as you've referred to, and it is national. It's international, but it's really national because if you look at our demographics, in order for this country to still have a viable economic engine that we've become used to, we need far more of our individuals, our citizens, to have an undergraduate degree.
To be smart.
To be smart.
Right.
Well, I would say they're smart, but they have to have more learning.
Right.
We've gotten used to this idea, Eric, that everybody should have a high school degree, right? Nobody argues about that anymore. Nobody says, well, why don't we stop them at 9th grade? Because, not everybody needs that high school stuff.
Right.
Like, you're crazy. So what we need to do now is have more of an agenda of our students, our citizens, need more education. We live in a complex world, lots of technology. People have to understand the broader world. They have to understand other countries and our influence on them and their influence on us.
Sure.
So I was just at a conference down in D.C. on a couple of days ago. 11 research-based institutions have gotten together and formed an innovation alliance, and they're getting some grant funding to do it. But these are institutions that you normally wouldn't line up with the word innovation. Purdue University, University of Kansas, University of California.
Big schools, yeah.
Big research agenda, hundreds of thousands of students all together. What they have come together to do, and their presidents all said this, is to open their doors to more students. They want to educate far more students and far more lower income students. Because if we just keep trying to educate more of the students that already now go to college, we will never reach the number that we have to educate. And so I'm proud of us because we have always had this mission to educate students, to say, if you're motivated and you want a degree, come to us, we will help you be successful.
Right.
We're not going to make it easy. We're not going to dumb it down. These universities are going to be trying to do this. It will be harder for them. They're bigger. This isn't the way they've thought about things. But we're part of many, many, many organizations, institutions across the country. Arizona State was there.
Right.
So absolutely.
Right. So talk for just a minute about the aspect you raised in the blog post, which was this quality. You said higher quality. What does that mean?
What is quality? Well, I think every institution has its own definition of quality. It's important that we have one too. We're working on it. It's been on Engage, et cetera. There's a statement that's been out there that we're working on. Many institutions look at quality as inputs. So how many volumes do you have in your library? How many classrooms do you have? How many people do you have teaching for you that have PhDs and research agendas,
right,
et cetera?
Right.
For us, quality is, does the student learn what they come here to learn, and are they able to master that discipline, domain, and the skills that go with it, the knowledge and the skills that go with it, and are they successful out in their lives?
Right.
So for us, it's not about how they learn, it's that they learn and that they can apply what they're learning.
So it's actually a very simple and elegant definition of quality, and that is, what I hear you saying is the quality of us is a function of the quality of the graduates who walk out our door.
Absolutely.
In terms of their learning and their abilities and their
Right.
knowledge and their skills. So as provost, when you look at the university, with the academic units of the university, what is the agenda that instantly puts in your mind? Like, where do you think we need to really be concentrating our efforts in the next year or two or three?
Yeah. Well, I think we need to concentrate our efforts where we are concentrating our efforts, which is to take a new look at our curriculum, to make sure that we have our curriculum really connected to the right competencies and outcomes, that we're connected to the industries and the organizations that will be hiring our graduates, so that we know that we are preparing our graduates for life after being with us.
Right.
And also having our faculty understand more about learning and learning science. It's just been this way in higher ed that most people in higher ed, myself included, I have a PhD in social psychology. I have done research in my life, et cetera. Never once in my PhD program was I taught how to teach students. And I've had to learn that on my own through my career and my professional organizations. And
Right.
I was lucky enough to work in some universities that had great faculty development programs. But most people don't learn how to teach. And there really is a way to teach and to structure the learning environment so that students learn better. And we have to be about that business of doing that better than anyone else.
Right.
And that's what's really going to help us help our students, which will then make us very strong.
Right. And it seems like the where you started at was with these competencies and outcomes and
Yes.
goals. It seems like that part of our agenda is to make sure that that's clearly articulated so that we can make sure that the pieces of the education that students are going through are contributing to their overall level of ability when they walk out the door. It's very clearly articulated
Absolutely.
and then purposefully achieved by
Look, this started from accreditors 20 years ago telling us you have to have learning outcomes. You have to have clear learning outcomes that you take seriously. What you're seeing over time is that we are just getting better and better at clearly articulating what is it that students should learn when they leave here. In higher ed, we have been reticent to do that prior to the last 20 years. Well, there's this magical process that you go through, and there's something that happens when you memorize enough and take enough tests and interact with enough faculty. The American public, our government, funding agencies, that's not good enough. Parents of students, they want to know what their students are learning. Our adults want to know
and employers.
What they're going to learn.
Yeah, and
employers need
yeah,
to know
sure.
what they're learning.
Sure.
So, yeah, absolutely. We have to articulate it better.
Okay. Well, as you know, you've seen the agenda that the graduate school is working on and trying to move to these types of very clearly articulated programs and in using very real world applications in which students can learn and then demonstrate that learning, build their learning through application,
Right.
and then demonstrate that learning. It sounds like you would agree, I think, that is in keeping with what you just described as what could be the agenda for UMUC for the next couple of years.
Absolutely. You know, Eric, and maybe folks out there don't know this, but I spent a lot of time with you and Matt Prinius, the Dean of Undergrad. You know, we're working on all of this together. So I'm very proud of what the graduate school has done. The way that you're moving forward and the way faculty are looking, they're taking a new lens and looking at their curriculum and thinking about competencies. And, you know, I've had the chance recently to hear some of your program chairs talk about the interesting assessments, the
Right.
real world assessments.
Right.
that
It's really
they're planning.
exciting what they're
It is
what
so
they're
great
doing.
because that's the real world.
Right.
You know, when you think about the tests that most of us took in college, even if they were really well-designed tests, it was still a test that has nothing to do with what we face every
Right.
day in our jobs.
Right.
And so to prepare our students, you know, in these very authentic ways, we'll know if they've mastered the material and the application. So
Right.
you guys are moving in a wonderful direction, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next year when you actually open up some of the programs in these new ways.
Excellent. Maybe a quick final question.
Yes.
Talk for just a second about what you see about our support for faculty as we start to transition to these different types of models. What's your thinking along those lines, how we can make that happen most effectively?
Yeah, so, you know, in the 90s when we moved to an online model, we really had to help faculty learn about teaching online, et cetera. Dr. Caravan
As a new method. As a new method
of
Right,
teaching,
right,
absolutely.
right.
And you know what's interesting about that? I think it made us go back and think about teaching and learning differently in general.
Right.
Once you change up a model, it makes you question all of your basic assumptions, which is a good thing.
Right.
So now I think we're at a point in time where we're questioning our basic assumptions again. You know, in an online course is posting a discussion question and having students all answer similar things, you know, over the week. Is that really helping them to learn? And so let's think about what might be a more engaged, active way of helping students learn. Dr. Caravan Dam, who I know you've had on your Take 5, has faculty development as a unit under her direction, and she's got a long history with faculty development units. You're going to be seeing, and our faculty will be seeing, some really interesting new forms of training and development coming out. There will be, of course, the training before you go into teaching for us right now.
Right.
But there'll be a lot of just-in-time training, new training on what it means to be this thing we're calling competency-based,
Right.
How students really learn and what we can do as faculty to actually help them learn. There'll be a lot of support for this, and I'm very excited about that.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking time with me today.
It was my pleasure.
I got you to, in that discussion, I got you to affirm the great work that my colleagues are doing in the graduate school.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited to be moving forward. So thanks for joining me today.
Me too, and I hope you invite me back again.
Definitely.
All right.
A good get.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'll see you next time.